Selah. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Selah, the Home Edition. I'm Vashti McKenzie, and we're focused on everything: tasks, assignments, administration. We are juggling the facets of our lives, trying not to drop the ball. And when we do, we're trying to pick that ball up as quick as we can. So to help you on this journey, we have Selah. Yeah. This is our home edition because we can't meet person to person. Queens, you're in Selah. This is a safe place where we can talk about things that we need to talk about, want to talk about, should talk about, ought to talk about, because there is no collection place where we can talk from business to entrepreneurs to educators to lawyers to preachers. Yes. And we're trying to figure this out, correct? We want to be able to have a seat at the table without losing our minds, our faith, or our family. Queen, how do you stand up and preach in the morning after you've been dealing with yuck all night long? I'm struggling with stuff that nobody wants to talk about, and no one wants to point me in the right direction to a resource that can help me. Since this pandemic, I haven't had enough sleep. I've had too much to eat. My energy is low. My anxiety is high. Let's talk about that. I'm the only one left in my department of 6 people. I'm glad for the job, but they're cutting my pay to do the job of 6. I'm happy for the job, but I feel like I've been had. My unemployment check is larger than what I've been making, and I'm just not really sure that I want to go back to where I was. So what's my chapter 1 and chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4? Welcome to Selah. Selah is your dream factory, your vision initiator, the mirror where we get a chance to look at ourselves for real. The microphone so we can say how we feel and what we feel with the resources that we have today. Woo! The Reverend Tracy Blackmon, all the way from Missouri, and Dr. Colleen Hawthorne, the coaches of coaches. Let me tell you, grab a seat. This is not just your typical virtual chit chat. This is a community. This is Selah. So welcome to the community. This is the table of transformation, and we got a lot to talk about. So you want to know what our hot topic is going to be tonight? Are you sure you're ready? Are you ready? We're going to talk about the mad Black woman. You've heard it before. I've heard it before. I've been in meetings. I have been in boardrooms with multi-generational or multi-ethnic people. And all I did was like, is she mad? Is she going to get mad? Is she going to get mad? Let's talk about it, shall we? Now pay attention. I want you to look at this clip. I want you to look at this clip. I want you to pay attention. I want you to look at it. All right.
Angry Black woman.
Crazy.
Why do you say that?
Because they're all crazy angry Black women. I've seen them. Why does that have to be a question?
Probably majority of them are single mothers. Is a recipe for a good angry Black woman.
Unapologetic.
Someone who's just like super sassy, raising her voice.
It's just so stupid. Rather than people saying, oh, well, why is this woman so mad? Suppressing their true emotions because you don't want to hear it.
Stereotype. In the meeting, if you speak out or something like that, or you express your emotions, then you're the angry Black woman.
Yeah, someone called me like that.
Do you think that's an easy way to shut someone down?
Well, I don't think so, because they didn't shut me down.
I kind of feel like that word is tossed out anytime that we speak up for ourselves. It's not even just when we're angry. It's whenever we speak in difference to somebody else.
Why you gotta put race on it? It's just an angry woman. What? Everyone's angry. Everyone angry. It doesn't matter if you're white, Black, Asian.
I don't think it's a stereotype. I think it's a role that's being played because it's real. When I think of an angry Black woman, I think of a woman that's been betrayed or hurt.
Typically when someone's angry and they get described as that, that usually means there's some unresolved hurt.
Honestly, just think of the movie, the Tyler Perry movie. Angry Black women in movies.
look like that, but most black women aren't angry.
I'm not an angry black woman. I'm goofy. They think we're all ghetto, welfare queens, uneducated, and in real life, we're probably some of the happiest, most positive people you'll ever meet in your life. Get to know us.
Cut it. Hey, praise God. Reverend Tracy Blackmon is in the house. Associate General Minister of Justice and Local Church Ministries for the United Church of Christ and Senior Pastor of Christ the King United Church of Christ in Florissant. Am I saying that correctly, Reverend Tracy? Florissant, Missouri?
You are.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I am so delighted to be here with you and all the women of Selah. I've been trying to get there a long time, so this is closer.
I'm happy that you're here. Everybody, Tracy Blackmon is a social justice advocate. She's on the front line every day. It's hard to have a conversation about social justice in America without Tracy Blackmon. She was on the front line when Black Lives Matter was birthed out of the trauma of Ferguson, Missouri after the death of Michael Brown. Tracy, why we mad?
Bishop, we have lots of reasons to be mad. But when I think about that trope, I think about the characteristics of the dumb jock, the crazy Asian, and the angry Black woman. It's a way to silence us, to make us intimidated about speaking our minds, and that's not going to happen. So we have much to be mad about, but often it's used as a way to silence us.
Now, how do you handle it, Tracy, when you meet it? Because you're in several different arenas, in church, community, you're in several different communities. How do you usually handle it when you are confronted with it?
Well, if I'm angry, you know it. And if I'm angry, I own it. But this trope of being an angry Black woman, people saying it just because you express your opinion, just because you're confident in that opinion, just because you're bold enough to disagree, I don't own that as something negative. I take up the space that I occupy, and I think we all should. And we are fully capable of having the full range of emotions that everyone else has. If a Black woman cries, we get called angry. But if a white woman cries, she gets all this sympathy. So what is that about? There's a racial undercurrent to all of it.
Yes, it seems, to use the vernacular that has been going around, in social media, Karen. If Karen looks like she's hurt, the world moves to take care of Karen.
Yes.
But if Rashida looks like she's in trouble, the world doesn't move to help Rashida. And so really, are Black women out there alone?
We're not alone because we have each other and we have our community. But the society that we live in is constructed in a way that Black women are not supposed to show their emotions in that way. And now that we have reached a place, and I think we've always been there, but now that it's more public, that we have this full range of emotions and we're not afraid to show them, then people have issues with it. This is still Ferguson, Bishop. And when you mention Karen, I want to say we have someone in Ferguson right now selling T-shirts that say, "I wish a Karen would." So, that's where we are, right?
Well, it seems that the world has only assigned us limited positions. You either have to be Beulah, or you have to be as the young lady said, the ghetto queen, the drug dealer, the over-sexualized female. You are the domestic, raising other people's kids and taking care of other people's houses. But then doesn't seem to be any space for other types of Black women.
They don't, well, I would say that society doesn't want there to be any space, but we are claiming that space. We're claiming the leadership qualities that say, you know, if I'm leading, I get to make decisions. And it would be nice if we agreed, but it's not necessary. You and I had that conversation, right? It's not necessary. And that doesn't make me angry. That makes me confident, and that makes me authoritative in the position that I hold. So we are defining ourselves differently than some of the tropes that are out there. And just like in the video you played, where the woman said, I'm not angry. Well, what if you are? You get to be angry. Our children are dying in the streets. We're still getting paid less than we should be being paid. We're still working harder than those who are getting paid more. We have reason to be angry. And if you are, it's okay.
Wonderful. I'm glad you said that because someone had asked me a while, and I think we shared it in our conversation about the mad Black woman. And I said, it's okay to be a mad Black woman. It's okay to be mad. I mean, you know, scripture, we can be angry and sin not. But it's okay to be mad. And we do have a lot to be mad at. There's so much happening. We woke up one day and the world had changed, Tracy. It is no longer the world that we know. Not that we really need to have some of that stuff that's in the old normal, but there is a new way of living that is emerging right now. And some people are saying it's the Black woman's time. What do you think, Reverend?
It is the Black woman's time. It's the Black woman's time to demand what she's worth for the work that she does. It's the Black woman's time to be on the presidential ticket to the United States. It's the Black women. I mean, Black women have carried this nation. We nurtured this nation. We let it suckle at our breast. We kept it alive. We've worked the jobs that kept the economy going. It is definitely our time. And we are not stepping aside. Black women have been the instrumental vote in every election since I've been voting. It is our time.
Now, Tracy, we have had moments before. We've had moments before. And this takes me down memory lane to history, that before Rosa Parks, there were several other people who sat down and went to jail before the Montgomery bus movement. So at those other times, everybody thought, okay, this is the moment. This is the moment. This is going to be, this is happening. This is going to be something new. And it didn't happen. And so now when Michael Brown, something's going to change now. Something is really going to change. Tamir Rice, something is going to change. The nameless women who are not elevated, Black women who died of senseless acts of violence. When we look at the school children who were killed in Connecticut, that's going to change. The school children who were killed in Florida, who, because the grown folk in the room couldn't get it together, you had third graders and fourth graders and middle schoolers telling America what to do because the grown people in the room couldn't get it together. So the children had to speak up for themselves. Are we at a point where it's really going to change, or is this the prelude to change?
You know, Bishop, I think that it has already changed. I think that there are enough Black women in positions of power now that we are wielding our force differently. We are working collaboratively in ways that we didn't so publicly before. We are demanding and doing the data research to know the strength of our collective voice. Now, I don't know what Joe Biden is going to do, but our time has come. And whether we get the second seat in the White House or not, I don't think it's going to be long before we have a Black woman as the president of the United States. And that's not the only place we need to be. We're in C-suites all over the country now, running as CEOs and executive directors. Some we know because they choose to be public, and some we don't know so much because they choose to keep their business to themselves. Black women are strategically placed in places we've never been before, from the church to corporations to nonprofits to the philanthropy world. And if sisters began to work together like I see them working together now, the change is already upon us.
We can be mad. It is okay. We're talking tonight about the mad Black woman. Thank you, sisters, for joining us in this conversation. Please share. You're watching on the Selah Leadership event page. Please share the link on your page so that we can invite others in the room. Our brothers, our allies who are watching, thank you for being in the room as well. We can all work together. I think one of the greatest disappointments I had in coming along, as I say, coming along, is that you work together hand in hand, brothers and sisters together. One gets through the door and then the other slams the door before the partner gets through. That's hard. We can't, as sisters, we can't afford to do that to each other. We can't afford to do that to each other. We have to resource each other. That's what Selah's about. We have to lift each other up, and we have to see sharing our expertise. Tracy has wonderful expertise, knowledge. You need to tap into that knowledge because what she knows could help you get to the next step. There are women who are asking questions in the chat room right now. Go to your sister. Find out what your sister, let me tell you, go to your grandmother.
That kitchen table wisdom is still good.
It's still good. Go to your grandmama and or go sit down with senior women and ask them, how did they live through this? I think the millennials are going through they haven't been through this before, and they're going through it now. And you're gonna have to ask grandma, how did you survive when you had to go to a white only fountain and a black only fountain? I think we saw in the movie Roots, the only way that Cecily Tyson's character could express her anger was to spit in a cup of water that she gave to a white man. There are different ways of expressing anger. I heard in another conversation, writing resistance literature as a way of expressing anger, resistant collects and prayers and liturgy as an expression of anger to be able to express it and get it out. Because we know, and Dr. Colleen Hawthorne is going to come share with us in a minute, if we keep it in the wrong place, it's going to hurt us more than it hurts them. Tracy, what would you tell the young women who are listening about this mad Black woman anger stuff?
I would say that you can be angry, don't be irate, and don't lose your self-control in such a way that you are no longer in charge of what's happening. You can express your anger, you can express your disappointment or your disagreement, but keep your control. That's how I have to handle it in corporate America. You asked me to write 5 takeaways, Bishop, and I did that. I don't know if you want them now or later.
Great timing.
Okay. My first takeaway for you tonight, ladies, is don't shrink and don't swell.
Oh,
don't
stop.
Shrink.
Say that one more time, Tracy, Rev Tracy.
Don't shrink and don't swell.
Woo!
I have a rabbi friend who I'm very close to, and we were studying together, and she brought up this word anavah, A-N-A-V-A-H, which is Hebrew for humility. And so often growing up, I'm a child of the 60s from Birmingham, Alabama. I grew up with that word, especially in the church, of being humble. I always interpreted it to mean not to take up too much space, to shrink, and to be as small as I could be in terms of humility. I was wrong. The word anavah, which in Hebrew translates to mean humility, does not mean to shrink. It means to take up all of the space that God has given you to occupy. Not take up more than God has given you, but certainly not take up less than God has given you. Take up all the space God has given you to occupy. And so my first thing I want to leave with you is you don't have to shrink anywhere you are, but don't swell either. Don't pretend to be who you're not and be bigger, take up more space than you need, and don't deny who you are and take up less space. They should be able to deal with you for who you are. And even if they can't, you have to be all right with that. That's number one.
Mhm.
Don't shrink and don't swell.
Yeah.
The second one is something you alluded to, Bishop. You need to find your tribe. No one succeeds alone. Find your sister friends who are working in the same direction, reaching for similar planets, and share similar values as you do. You will need that tribe. When I moved into executive level in denominational leadership, and Bishop, I would have called you, but I was afraid of you. You were the one. When I had the opportunity to move into executive level leadership, I moved from being a pastor, a local church pastor, to the second highest office in my denomination. When they sent me a package offer, I did not have people that I associated with on an everyday basis that I could check that package against.
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
They were
absolutely.
offering me more than I had ever made, especially in that realm.
Mhm.
And they're offering it to you, and you don't know whether this is a good package.
Mhm.
You don't know how it compares to other people who are doing this kind of work. You need a tribe. And you need a tribe, and I don't mean this in any kind of snooty way. You need a tribe that is aspiring to where you're trying to aspire to, or has already reached that level that you can call and get some wisdom from. And if you get there and you are the first, as you were, Bishop, you were the first woman to get there ecclesiastically for the AME church. If you get there and you're the first, don't be stingy with the lessons that you learned there.
Right.
So now when people call me and they're escalating and they say, what should I be looking for in my package? I can have that conversation. And I do. I do, because you need a tribe. Find your tribe and be loyal there. Number 3 is ask the right questions. Ask the right questions and learn to listen well. Knowing the right questions is more valuable to me than knowing all the answers. Listen deeply to others. And as you listen deeply, what you learn will expound your capacity and your reach. Learn to ask the right questions. Number 4, invest in the success of other people.
Yes.
Pour into other people, and do so without any expectation of a return. When people are empowered, they function at higher levels. And when that is the case, we all win. There is a bonus. If you pour into other people, if you invest in other people, I guarantee you it will always come back to you. And number 5, never stop learning. Education is a lifelong pursuit. Things change. And if you stopped learning and COVID-19 hit, you're stuck right now. You have to learn continuously. And education continuous, whether that's an in-service you take, whether it's an online webinar. Next week, I start an online Greek course with Raquel Letzum. Learn continually.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That's it for me.
All 5 were absolutely wonderful, Tracy. And they are blessing the ladies right now. Don't shrink and don't swell. Let me remind you, possess the land. Wherever your feet go, that you're going to possess the land. Not more than God gives you, and certainly not less. And I love it when you said, if they can accept you for who you are, then that's on them. That's not on you. You know, I know, you know, you and we're coming along, cutting our teeth in ministry. And they kept saying, well, you don't look like a preacher. I said, okay, what that mean? You don't look like a preacher. You don't look like a preacher. So what's the preacher supposed to look like?
Bishop Vashti, when you were elected a bishop, you've taken many pictures, but you took this picture sitting in what I call a throne chair in your purple robe. I think it was your first official, at least it was the first official one I saw. And when I looked at that picture, you could tell from the photo, she owns the space she occupies.
Mm-hmm.
It is the way you carry yourself. It is the way you show up in a room. It is the way you speak. You have to have that confidence in yourself to know I belong here. Yeah. I may not have all the answers, but I belong here. And that's what I mean when I say don't shrink and don't swell. It comes through.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That picture was taken by Time Magazine for a story they were doing in it. And after they took that picture, I looked at it, I said, oh, I got to have it. I mean, you know, it may not be this good, you know, ever again, but it's good at this moment. And I wanted to have that picture that captured that moment that year. But thank you. Tracy Hoth, right there. I want to introduce you and the rest of the Selah ladies. Let me remind you, please share on your Facebook page. We want to bring into the room Dr. Colleen Hawthorne. Reverend Tracy is going to join us. Dr. Colleen Hawthorne is the vibrant C-suite confidant and consultant. She is a coach of coaches. She's the one that talks to the CEOs before they hit the brick wall so they can have be able to hold on to the reins of whatever it is they're trying to do. She's the one that the football team sends for to talk to the guy that they're paying $1 million who's dropping the ball. She's the one that coaches a basketball player who can shoot baskets everywhere except for the free throw shot. And they paying all this money and you can't even get a free one, all right? And so she's with us tonight. She's been listening in on the conversation. Welcome, Dr. Colleen.
Oh, Bishop, thank you so much. And Reverend Blackmon, so honored to meet you. Thank you so much for having me, and greetings, ladies, all the ladies and the gentlemen on the call. What a powerful, powerful discussion for such a time as this.
Absolutely. Now that you're here, we're going to have a conversation. We are inviting questions. If you have questions, put them in the chat. Our Selah group has several, 3 or 4 questions that we're going to bring up. But first, there's somebody at the door, I think. Yes, there's somebody at the door. Let's open the door and see who's there. It is Atia Giles. I want you all to meet Atia Giles. Every time we have a Selah, we lift a Black female entrepreneur to give her an opportunity to have a platform to share her product. Atia is from Georgia, and she is an educator. She's written curriculum. She's been a team member. She's been leading the parade at Bennett College for the equity and education of African American students. But her big news is she is now an entrepreneur. So I don't want none of y'all to go away because Reverend Tracy and Dr. Colleen are coming right back. But you need to hear the good news that has happened with Atia. Atia, welcome to Selah.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Selah. This is just a wonderful opportunity. I am so excited to share that I am the owner of the Limited Company. We are a brand new cosmetic, skincare, and personal care products brand located in Metro Atlanta. We sell everything from makeup to skincare for men and women. We also sell fine fragrances, room deodorizers, scented soy candles, and a whole lot more. Also Swiss timepieces, different items such as that. We recently got our retail approval from Walmart.com to sell our products there. And so we are extremely ecstatic about that and just really over the moon excited about it. And so it's just been a blessed time and a blessed opportunity for us.
Well, congratulations, Atia. She is our business spotlight of the day. Sisters, y'all go to Walmart.com and y'all check out Atia. We want Walmart to come looking for her and other Black entrepreneurs to sell their product. Once they understand that this is the market, we want to be sure that we are helping elevate the presence of those who are in business. Yay. Now, if you take a look, I think that's Atia's website. Is that it, Atia?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
All right. So you want to find more about what she is doing, please go to her website, then go to Walmart.com and look for Atia. Congratulations on getting that Walmart contract. Thank you. Y'all give her a hand, some thumbs up somewhere. All right, give her a hand. Thank you, Atia, for being with us tonight. We're coming back with Dr. Colleen and Reverend Tracy, but let me remind you, please get your t-shirts and your mask. Our masks are made by Tawny Haynes, who is another female entrepreneur who's doing exceptionally well here in Dallas, Texas. There are bling shirts. Don't they look good? Yep, you can get it in pink, black, and red. Don't we look good? Yay! So that when we have our upcoming house party, we're having a house party. I mean, we work hard. Don't we work hard? So we need to have a house party. So we're going to have a ladies' night in. It's going to be on August the 24th. We're going to have a menu. We're going to have games and prizes. We're going to laugh ourselves silly. But this is going to be private. So all of you who are watching on Facebook, you won't be able to see that party. But you can register if you are a woman who loves yourself and a woman who loves to be with other women and a woman who has a heart to help other women, to resource other women, to sharpen your leadership skills and your personal life skills. Then we invite you to join the Selah Online Leadership Group. It's a private group on Facebook. We invite you to join us and then you can come to the party. So Reverend Tracy is with us and Dr. Colleen is with us. Dr. Colleen, you got a few things you want to share with us tonight?
I do. And you know, it's interesting because what I thought I was going to share is not exactly what I'm going to share. This afternoon, Holy Spirit said, no, I want you to go in a whole nother direction. And I said, well, goodness, now I know what it feels like when, you know, Reverend Blackmon and the bishop and other ministers here, you know, have your sermon and all set. And the Lord said, no, you're not preaching that.
It happens.
So bear with me if I look at these notes, because I want you to hear it exactly the way I received it. And again, this was late afternoon. So I'm just going to share what I heard, what I hear. And I understand more now why the shift in the direction in terms of what I was going to say, because it really lines up with the things that Reverend Blackmon has just shared just so powerfully. And we so appreciate you, dear Sister Reverend Blackmon, for all you do. And we're really preparing ourselves to come alongside you and the bishop and others who have really gotten us to this point. And now as we're moving to another level, really want to know how we position ourselves to really be there for this new conversation we're having. So Holy Spirit said to me, I want you to give these ladies tonight doctor's orders. I said, what? I'm just here to talk, not prescribe. He said, I want you to give doctor's orders in the form of 3 prescriptions. And these prescriptions also double as permission slips, doctor's permission slips. I said, okay. So as a physician, I said, Holy Spirit, as a physician, if I'm going to prescribe or render any treatment, then I have to do a few things. I have to have a few things. Number one, we need the history. And Reverend Blackmon and Bishop was showing the clips, and we're living it. So we know what this history is that goes along with this angry Black woman or mad Black woman term, right? So I said, okay, we've handled that. And I said, well, if I'm going to prescribe, I have to have a diagnosis. Holy Spirit said, yes. And the diagnosis is not angry Black woman, mad Black woman. It's time for us to reframe that, because part of that reinforces the stigma of the things that we deal with, right? These microaggressions. And so I said, okay, I have to have a diagnosis to say to you all what I'm treating. I'm a physician. He said, I want you to call it. Now, guys, this is just what the Holy Spirit told me. It's not an official diagnosis. He said, the diagnosis is not angry Black woman syndrome. That's a myth and perpetuating the stigma. Call it racism overload syndrome.
Huh.
I said, ROS, racism overload syndrome.
Huh.
In terms of the languaging of it, sounds like something you want to say, okay, I want to deal with that, tackle that, overcome that, instead of this mad, angry Black woman. And what we hear, language is everything in terms of how it affects our behavior and emotions and so forth, right? So that's a starting place. I said, okay, Holy Spirit, now what does that mean? What is this term? And I heard this. It's the racism overload syndrome, ROS, that we are terming here at Selah for this discussion, is the condition experienced by Black people derived from the chronically functioning in a state of pushing through, pressing through, repressing, suppressing, and sublimating the insidious, that means on and on and on, constant daily pain and stress associated with racism.
Daily pain.
Daily and insidious, right? So this is the condition characterized by a myriad, so a host of symptoms, which unfortunately for us have gone unnoticed in too many cases, ignored, we know that, underreported, we don't say anything really about what we're really feeling, undiagnosed, and we know this one, misinterpreted, right? The way this manifests, what's going on with us, often misinterpreted as irrational anger, vexation, our sarcasm, sassiness, being extra, and other forms of acting out. People think we're acting out in our attitudes and behaviors. Absolutely not. That is not what's going on. As we know that really this racism overload really comes in the form of a symptom of things, syndrome, meaning there are lots of different signs and symptoms and attitudes and behavior that go along with this, right? And the thing is, as Black women, we have a unique overlay here of this whole racism matter. And that is that we're dealing not only with racism, but sexism, right? Because we're women, and classism. So this is further exacerbated then by the fact that historically, and in our ongoing role has been caregiver. We're caring for everything and everyone, unfortunately, for too long and too often, except ourselves. And the thing is, as we are moving forward in this, to have these new conversations, because it's been set up. So Blackmon's, has so wonderfully said, and we know we're in a different time. This has woken up, between the pandemic and the racial injustice and George Floyd and the others, it has woken up folks that are paying attention more. And so it's an opportunity we cannot miss. As Bishop said other times, well, we had opportunities and kind of, is it going to happen? We are in positions, as Reverend Blackmon said, now, to affect this change. And we must come together on this, such as forums like this. And the thing is this, we have to realize that this is a marathon, not a sprint. So I think part of what has been kind of missing before, or not necessarily missing, but this is where we are now with more knowledge that we have, and like Reverend says, studies. We have to incorporate this taking care of ourselves like never before, in order to have the energy, the strength, the clarity of mind to really take this to the next level. We can't miss the opportunity. And so I think that is one of the main areas we've got to focus on is our health, mentally, physically, and spiritually, to get kind of through at this next level. All right. So we know that, because of the overload, right, the racial overload, that we see that this has, some adaptive and positive benefits, but they're also very negative and harmful benefits. And so we want to shift those. We also want to reframe those positive adaptations that we have made. And so what are those positive things that, what are the symptoms? What does this look like, right? And we know this, but some of those positive adaptations has been being strong. We are Black women, they are strong, we are resilient. Sometimes, though, the tricky thing is that because we have developed that, and that's what happens when people who have been oppressed and repressed and have to overcome, right? It's a law. If you keep working certain muscles, you keep working, be strong muscles, that's what happens. People become very strong and resilient. Hence, this is part of how we are, but we've got to watch that, because the thing is, psychologically, when people see you as that all the time, then sometimes you can be ignored. Mm-hmm. Sometimes then the misinterpretations come. So we want to look at, how do we express our feelings? How are we strong, but still get across the message that we hurt, we're in pain, because the reality is underneath anger, oftentimes, and most times, and certainly in our cases, is an unrecognized, unaddressed, unresolved deep pain, right? So we want to watch how we're, addressing that and kind of make some tweaks here. Some of the negative kind of harmful things that, in a lot of ways have been our coping mechanism, has been internalized anger, right? We couldn't, and for good reason, we weren't allowed to speak out, or it was misinterpreted. And so it was learned silence. But as Reverend said, we're at a different time. And so it's important for us to look at ways, just like this forum is allowing us in other forums. How can we make those tweaks now to move to the next level in a healthy way and continue to get, results at this level? Some of the other negative ways it's harmed us is depression, anxiety, untreated, unrecognized, and health problems. I'm going to touch on that because that is so key. And I believe a real key in how we are going to express the side effects of this anger. I think that's an opportunity for us to have people understand, and for us to understand, look, this is harmful in terms of our health. So we must shift that, so that we shift the disparities that are there in terms of how it manifests in our health, right? So those are some of the ways. The other ways that have been harmful because of the, we're caregivers, and the stress and the stress and the stress as women, is our poor self-care. Now, here's the thing of why this is missed sometimes and under-recognized, because we know how to show up and look good, even though underneath that, we may be breaking down. Again, we have learned to adapt and to push through and press through. And so sometimes folks, oh, you look so good, you look so radiant. We're like, oh my goodness, if you only knew. So how do we still hold those positives, but make sure those needs are getting met, and make sure we are staying healthy and getting even healthier? Because again, this is a marathon, not a sprint. And we've got to take this to these next levels to move to the next stages. Okay, so here are the 3 prescriptions that I was asked to give you with that little background. Okay, you guys ready?
We're ready.
So the prescriptions, and they're formulated, I want you to think about this. They're formulated around a key premise. That's what the Holy Spirit said to me. He said, tell the women that these prescriptions are formulated around this thought to keep in mind, right? Begin to, and for those of us that haven't begun to up-level our own personal Me Too movement.
Okay.
He said, look, you guys are careful, you do it, you got that down. So in addition to doing Black Lives Matter and all the other agendas we have, we must on another level begin, reinforce, and up-level our personal Me Too movement. What does that mean? That means knowing with whatever decisions we're making, whatever we're doing now and henceforth, that's undergirding that is, I matter. I matter as a person. Okay? I have value as a woman, as a person, as a Black person. And I will no longer be silent or suppress my feelings. I'm taking intentional actions towards my own equity, meaning we don't have to just caregive. We have to self-give. Okay, so we're taking intentional actions towards our own equity and healing. So in addition to the Black Lives Matter, all the matters, underneath that, we've got to say personal Me Too movement. Okay, so here are the prescriptions that go along with that. Ready, ladies? Prescription number 1. And remember, we have to know what I'm treating. We are calling this racism overload. And so these are the prescriptions to help us with this, okay? At this time, number 1 prescription, acknowledge your true feelings. That is critical. It is critical. Our tendency is to avoid, feelings. We do that as people, but we really do it as Black people and Black women, and we know why, okay? But we've got to shift that up. It's understandable. It wasn't safe. It was easier. We're tired. Do the work of what? Right? And, but we have to acknowledge our true feelings. Okay. When we suppress our feelings, it leads to worsened anger, because then by the time it comes out, it blows up. And as Rev Blackmon said, and she's absolutely right, we want to, it's fine to be angry. And it's in the scripture, as Bishop said, be angry and sin not. So what does that mean in a practical sense, and as a health concept, mental health concept, and health and wellness, physical health concept? That means you express the anger in ways that are helpful so that you do not become violent and volatile. That does not help us. We've got to look at how are we framing this? How are we developing some additional mechanisms to drive things forward at this time? Okay. Expressing your feelings is critical because it helps you to gain clarity. It helps you to process the feelings so that you can move through to the other side of the healing. Okay. And it again promotes clarity. And when we're clear, we're able to come up with sound strategy. All right. So it's critical. The second thing, and so you say, Doc, how do I do that? How do we do more of that? Identify and create safe spaces to have these conversations. Right. And you said that perfectly. And she has put this together, right? A forum such as this. And it really is an excellent model. It is an excellent model of how because you have to have safe spaces to speak openly, right? This is an excellent model. You put an agenda. What are we talking about, ladies? What are we talking about? Besides the girlfriend, let's have an agenda. Number 2, the key thing, she has a moderator. So that's someone that's knowledgeable. Bishop is the moderator in this case, to kind of allow the flow. And if it's getting off, we're letting out anger and it's, getting off track, then she's got professionals, bringing in the physician. On the spiritual end, there's the, reverend who also knows that's her thing, social justice. So again, be very strategic in creating safe places to have these discussions, but we must do that now. We can't use the excuses. Is it work? Bishop knows, she's heard me say this and know in my book. I like to say you've got to make the work fun. Learning and advancing should be fun, regardless of what we're talking about, right? Bishop, again, this is a prime example. We're talking about the mad Black woman. I mean, it doesn't get more intense of a discussion than that. But look at the way it's formulated, right? So we're discussing something very deep, but it's in a way, Bishop's bringing in, hey, here's a wonderful thing of a woman who's, moved into, her business, taking her into Walmart. That's doing a lot of things strategically. It's giving us hope. It's giving us, we're seeing before us movement, and she's modeling how we uplift and celebrate one another. So when we're having these conversations, these things are key, and that adds fun to it. It adds juice. It adds flow and elevation, regardless of what you're treating. I always say that to my patients, whether you have whatever the condition is, we can make it in a way that's palatable for you to say, I want to come back and get more treatment. And that's what happens. So these are some keys. And Bishop really models that well in how she sets up this forum and every forum I've seen her hold. Okay. You want to communicate, acknowledge true feelings in a personal way. You always want to start with, I feel. Mm-hmm. Okay, statements instead of you did this or they're doing that. I feel. What does that do? That helps to neutralize the angst and the pain, right? And it also allows the clarity to come so that we can really express what we are dealing with. You got to breathe through it. Mm-hmm. When things seem very, very tight and stressful, you want to bring things down a little bit. Again, part of the reason Bishop did what she does, she, integrating. I don't want to speak for you, Bishop, but you're doing it or not. What that does is break up some of the intensity. So it allows us to breathe. It allows us to, deal with these powerful things in a way that makes you want to come back. Doesn't everyone want to come back? No one's saying, oh my gosh, Selah, this was deep. This was intense. Yes, but I want to come back because there's a nourishment to it. I'm learning. I am seeing women model. This is good. That's what you want to do. Okay, second prescription. Ladies, second prescription. You want to give yourself, because remember, we're talking about Me Too movement and how we're going to formulate these prescriptions we're going to use, right, to keep us going strong and through this process. The second prescription, get grace and space to heal. Mm-hmm. It takes space and time and the right environment to heal mind, body, and soul. So those things are critical, because this is the thing. We're not so well, ladies. We're not so well. We're not as well as we could be. I don't like to say the shoulds, right? We don't tell people should, but could be, should be, and deserve to be. We're not, and need to be, to really take this to the next level. Right? So Black folks are disproportionately, have serious and chronic health conditions. This has been brought more to the forefront because of the coronavirus. So any medical person knows that, but now we're real clear. No, our numbers, the statistics of how we have various conditions, and these are significant and chronic conditions. There are lots of reasons for that. And a lot of it is this our overload, right? But so we're not so healthy. We'll look good. So we've got to shift that up. Now, in terms specifically of Black women, listen to this, sisters. We have more hypertension. As Black people, we do, but even as Black women, greater hypertension, cardiac disease, and diabetes-related deaths.
Well, that's a lot.
Okay, so we've got to address this, right? Stress makes you sick. That's just not a cliche. It's very true. I want to just point one out, for example. Okay, there's a stress-related cardiac condition that various people have. I don't think there's studies yet. I'm a doctor, so everything, if I say it, it has to have a study behind it. So we don't have that yet, or haven't seen it, but it probably will come. But we know there's a condition. And if Black women have more cardiac disease, I wouldn't be surprised if this is more common in us. Okay. So it's actually called, sometimes it's dubbed the broken heart syndrome. Some of us heard of that, or if you see a spouse die and the grief, and another spouse may go soon after that. But the technical term, us docs, we have these fancy terms for everything. But it speaks to, this is very serious stress-related cardiac illness. And one of them is called Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. Cardiomyopathy. Cardio just means heart. Myo just means the muscles and the tissues. Swelling, right? So heart enlargement from stress is real. You don't see it. You just see people, well, what happened to so-and-so?
Wow.
And we, again, as sisters, have more cardiac disease, high blood pressure, and diabetes-related deaths. All right? So what do I do about that, Doc, this prescription?
You got prescription number 3?
Yes. So prescription 2, you got to give yourself grace and space to heal. Okay, prescription 3, and thank you, Bishop. You know, as a physician, we tend to be all inclusive. I got to give them this information. I got to save their life. Okay, so thank you for that signal. Prescription 3, cell to soul connections. And I'm just going to summarize that by saying Reverend Blackmon spoke to that. We must come together. And Bishop is modeling that. Okay. And we got to take inventory. Who are these relationships with? Listen, sisters, get the book for the details. The positives, stay, nurture those, do more with those positive relationships. The negative ones, you got to be real honest. They either need to go or be modified. All right? This is about our health, our wellness, our very life and death. And it's about the life of getting this racial justice to the next levels at this time. At this time, okay?
Now, Dr. Colleen, you need to say that again. We need to build on the positives that are in our lives.
Yes.
And the negatives that are there, we either have to remove it or modify it.
Modify it. And we can't use the excuses anymore. We have to. We have to for our health. We have to advance equality at this point.
Wow. Come on, y'all give
excellent. That was excellent.
Hearts and some hands and some thumbs ups over there. Press the button. Don't forget to share all this good information. You really hit the nail on the head for us today. And you said a whole bunch of stuff in there, whole bunch of stuff. We need to take better care of ourselves. This is true. And I really hadn't thought of us being caretakers. But we are, we are taking care of our families, children, friends, spouses, parents. We're taking care. We're the big nurturers. We take care of everybody in the office. And so, who designated Black women to fix everything? When did that happen? When did that happen? We are put in position where we have to modify how we feel to make other people comfortable, which is one of the things that I was angry about. When we had to go back to telling, the Black boy codes and the Black girl codes, we have to go back and sit down and have a conversation with our children and the children who are around us in our community and our churches. This is what you have to do in order to get home alive. And so the onus on staying alive is on the child, not on the adults who are supposed to protect you. That your parents paid taxes so that you could do that. So the children then have to keep your hands on the steering wheel at 10 and at 2 o'clock. Don't make any sudden moves. Speak in such a tone of voice that doesn't incite somebody else to come back. All of those kinds of things. To me, it's an abusive relationship. You have to make all the adjustments in order to stay alive. When you're in a domestic abusive relationship, when there is the aggressor, the one who is receiving the violence has to adjust their behavior to keep the aggressor from not being aggressing. And so, we're the ones that have to adjust our anger to make people comfortable. We're the ones that have to adjust our behavior to make other ethnic groups comfortable. I mean, you are scared of a 12-year-old Black child? Walk down the street and people clutch their purses or cross over the other street. That's something to be angry with. And we need to be able to change that. But in order to change the narrative, you have to change the culture. And laws don't change the culture. So we have to find some other tables of transformation. As a young lady said in the video, she said, everybody think we ghetto, this and that and the other. We're likely the most happiest people in the world. Y'all need to come and get to know us. need to come to get to know us. And so, Sailor women, we need to come and get to know ourselves. We need to come and to get to know each other. Both of our speakers talked about supporting one another and being there for one another. It is very difficult to be fighting the world every day and turn to your sister, and you have to fight your sister too. You have to fight your sister too. I'm proud of you, Reverend Blackmon, about being first is making sure you're not the only. You know, when I was elected, I was first. But there are 3 other women behind me elected on, and there are a couple of candidates who are around at this next round of general conference. You never know what's going to happen. But you want to make sure if you're the first, you're not the last. You take other people with you. And let's be a better sister to our sister. Thank you, Reverend Blackmon.
Thank you, Bishop. Thank you.
Thank you,
I want to
Dr.
say
Colleen.
one thing
Thank you.
about what Dr. Hawthorne said, and it relates to what you said. It just struck me so hard when she said it, talking about long distance running. The difference in this moment is for a long time, women had to run alone, but we don't have to now. We can do relay running. We can pass the baton to another sister and take a rest when we need it and pick back up the baton when we get our strength back. We don't have to do it all anymore. We can connect with sisters, make sure we're not the only one, and run together.
Absolutely. Now, we do have a couple of questions here from our Sailor group. And can we got time to, yes, okay, good. Why does it seem that Black women are charged with cleaning up the mess? Hello, this is not only enough to anger, but to tire us out. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. That goes back to, I mean, historically, being the caregivers, like Reverend Blackmon said, literally having people suck at our breasts, you know, from Master's house. So this has kind of been the pattern. And also, we've had to kind of find ways to support and uplift one another. So which, you know, historically, from day one. And so that carries on as we're trying to get to other levels. It is exhausting. It is tiring. But so we're seen as, you know, we've gotten real good at cleaning up messes, right? But now is the time, just like we're doing here, to have, first of all, the places to talk about it openly. We haven't had many. And so we're getting it out with that clarity and processing that sets us up to really get to the strategies. And that's what we've got to come up with. What are the ways we're going to move forward now? And so the first step has to be talking about it. We cannot repress and suppress. So we're finding those ways to do it in a healthy, therapeutic, and transformational way.
I also want to add to that as a preacher, because I know there are a lot of preachers on the line. The reality is, because we are Black and women, we have double burden, right? And so many times in churches, hopefully this has changed, but I don't think so. We don't get the chances until the men have already messed it up. So we come in and it's already messed up. We have to clean it up, get it ready. And sometimes after we do that, then it's given to a man again. So we have reasons to be angry. We have reasons to be tired. We have reasons to start looking at the fact that we are at positions now where we can name where we want to go, what we want to do, what we won't take. We can make some of those decisions, and we have been socially conditioned not to do those things, not to ask for what we need, not to say this is something we will take and we won't take. This is a new day. We've got to make those kinds of decisions for our own health's sake. For our own health's sake. Black women are dying too young because we silently suffer instead of saying enough is enough.
Absolutely. I think that was handed down from previous generations. Women didn't talk about their stuff. And they suffered in silence. And so much information did not pass down from mothers to daughter because in that day, you were not supposed to talk. I know when I served in Africa, it was very difficult talking about AIDS. talking about sexuality, because in a very conservative, ultra-conservative communities in Africa, sexuality was not discussed outside of the home, and was always discussed between men and women in many of the areas. So it was very difficult. So it's not just us here in America and other places. We just don't share that information. A part of that discussion, I'll just add to it because I know there's another question from the Salem ladies, is that that's a good place where we start talking about boundaries. Boundaries, you know, where you learn how to say no, or where you learn how to say, Karen can do this just as well as I. Ask Karen to work overtime. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because you know, the strong Black woman, you know, you're angry and you're strong and you're tough. You can do anything, right? So we're gonna give you the extra work because we know Karen can't handle it. So Karen's gonna go home, and you in the office at midnight, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Ain't gonna ask Karen to work on the weekend, but because you're strong, you can handle it. You can do it all, right? You get to work on the weekend. But what I'm hearing both of you saying is that we have to show up for ourselves so we can show up for others.
Yes.
And if
what I've learned, Bishop, is that my no is as holy as my yes.
Oh.
Write that down, sister. Write it down.
Yeah.
That's right. Your no is as holy as your yes.
It's as holy as my yes.
Don't y'all forget that. We got another question.
No.
Should you call attention? I'm looking because I have to look around the camera. Should you call attention to a comment that you feel was racist, but you know the person who said it didn't realize it?
I'm going to go to the scripture on this one because I know the doctor's going to handle all of the education pieces. In the scripture, when Jesus is hanging on the cross, there are two hanging with him. They both ask him a question. One asked him, if you are the Savior, why don't you save all of us? Why don't you get down and save all of us? The other one asked the question, can I be with you in paradise? Jesus only answers one of those questions. He does not respond to the one that asked him, if you are the Savior, why don't you get down and save? He never answers that question. He only answers the question that honors who he is and says, can I be with you in paradise? The reason I bring that up is to say, every question does not deserve your response. Every statement does not deserve your response. So the answer to that question is how much time you got today and whether or not you have the energy to deal with it. Because fixing other people's issues is not your job. It just isn't. Right?
That's right.
So we have to teach people, especially white people, and I work with a lot of them. You have to teach white people to do their own work. I am not here to educate you. I am not here to explain myself to you. Every question does not deserve a response from me. And when I don't answer, sometimes people say, did you hear me? And I say, yes. I heard you.
Right. Every question doesn't deserve an answer, or every question doesn't deserve to be, let's say, supported in that way, authenticated, made legitimate just because you ask it. You know, they're in some places now. I grew up in Baltimore. Hello, all the Maryland people. I grew up in Baltimore on the west side of Baltimore, the corner of Cary and Cumberland Street, 1 block from Penn North, where the last riots happened in April a couple of years ago after Freddie Gray's death. And we would have responded in a different way. We would have responded differently. You know, can I touch your hair? Do I ask to touch your ponytail?
Exactly.
You know, and you go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And that's fine until you get to your mama stage. Then when you get to your mama stage, then the conversation is all over. Come on, doctor, help us.
I love this. I love this. This is the part where in that safe place, Bishop gets to do this and Reverend Blackmon, I don't say anything. This is our place to do that. Because when we're able to do that, then we can take that and move toward, okay, what are some prescriptive ways to answer? Or what are some prescriptive ways to behave? But we can't get to that unless we're able to do just this in the safe place. So absolutely, step one. I love what Reverend Blackmon says about not every statement deserves an answer. And that's right on. As we're moving to the next place, what we've got to look at is how can we reframe and tweak a little? Because remember, we're trying, not that it's not a job, but we want the ultimate effect is to effect change, right? So just psychologically know that not answering is a very powerful answer. Now, when we add that with not answering with a smile, that's even more powerful. Okay, because it's saying, I heard you, but really something about what you said is not quite right. That microaggression, that's that fancy word for that stuff we deal with all the time, right? But it's also giving you permission to still hold your head. And that really is a very powerful response, like, man, okay? So those things, I think we're looking at ways to kind of tweak what we do in the coping mechanisms and the strategies with, okay, how do we get that to even the next level? What does that look like psychologically to get that to the next place? One other thing I want to say on this is, so related a little bit to the last question, but one of the things in this day we want to do is make sure we're not alienating our brothers. So yes, expressing the anger, expressing the reality. I love Reverend Blackmon did that because she says, you know, part of it is the brothers messed up, you know, men messed it up. We got to fix it. Again, we need the safe spaces to be able to say that. This is what I'm feeling. And then how do we then look at that? And we want to make sure we're not alienating our brothers, because psychologically that may set us up for more, you know, sisters, we need our brothers. That's a whole nother talk. So we want to watch how we're saying and what we're saying to them. So we're saying it directly, but inviting them in to our feeling state. So say, you know, the big bishop, I'm in charge and you're going to do this. No, I'm not doing your job. But when there's an opportunity, you know how that makes me feel? Would you like to know? So you're inviting them in. You're inviting them in. And that's what when we talk to white folks, black folks. So just think about that. And there may be other opportunities for us to delve into that some more. But we're looking at these conversations now at the next level for where we are.
Yeah. As you said in the beginning, words are important. And when you hear those comments, yes, microaggression comments, when you hear those comments, they are used subtly to put you in place, You know, we read about recently at ABC News when Robin was negotiating her contract. You know, you're in negotiation, you're trying to get your dollars right, you know, your package right. And evidently there was a disagreement. And the person on the other side of the desk says, it's not like we're asking you to pick cotton.
Oh,
it was in the media, it was in the media, caused an uproar. But those kinds of comments like that, can I touch your hair? Or other kind, are you getting angry? Are you getting, what do we need to do? Those things are designed to put you in place, to silence you, to make you back up. Do we have our last question? How did or do you handle the real mad Black woman at the table when you are not the mad Black woman with her? All right. When she go off, what you do?
Reverend Blackmon, what does the scripture say?
You know, this for me is scripture from the street. I'm going to get serious for a moment. I think one of the largest things we have to overcome from years of oppression how do I say this? One of the largest things we have to overcome is making everybody a reflection of us. Everyone that looks like us, a reflection of us. While we want to work collectively, I don't have to speak for every Black woman. I don't have to be the representative for every Black woman. Sometimes I get to be me, because the thought that whatever someone else does is a reflection of me is one of the consequences of the oppression that we have experienced. For instance, when violence happens in Black neighborhoods, all the news stories are about all Black people and all the violence that all Black people are doing. When something good happens in Black neighborhoods, our language is often that we and all of us did this thing. And there's nothing wrong with collective joy and collective support. But I do get to be an individual, and you do get to be an individual. So how do we get to the place? And I wrestle with this. I'm being transparent here. How do we get to the place that if someone is doing something that we don't agree with and is inappropriate, that we can attribute it to that person and not to our commonality? Can I sit at a table with someone and we have differing opinions and that be okay? Can I sit at a table with someone who is acting out or showing their emotion in a way that is not comfortable for me and that be okay? And I not be embarrassed by it, and I not have to handle it, and I not have to take care of it, because that person gets to be who that person is. And I'm saying that for inviting dialogue about it, because I wrestle with it sometimes. I do. And I do accept the responsibility of showing up well, but I don't want to be responsible for showing up for everybody or making an excuse for everybody or feeling responsible if someone else does something that is not in line with who I am. And I want to hear the bishop and the doctor talk about that. And if I'm wrong, you can tell me, but I wrestle with this all the time, that just because another woman does it doesn't mean that that is who I am and that I have to take on the responsibility of that. And vice versa. She doesn't have to take on the responsibility of who I am. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, now, I'll let you go first, Dr. Colleen.
Well, I think you are absolutely on point, and it really speaks to what Bishop was just saying about boundaries. Boundaries are healing for everybody. Boundaries give safety to everybody. And so would be a great topic, because we have issues with that, again, because we've always done and overdone and taken care. So yes, I think you're absolutely right to identify, no, this isn't good for me, or this is kind of crossing the line. So first of all, acknowledging, yes, Reverend, that is fine to have that feeling and that stance. And that's the first step, acknowledging, yes, that's healthy. And that's part of us moving to the next stage in this, knowing we don't have to protect everyone. So within that, though, part of our responsibility, as we kind of educate by modeling, and then also that support, where if it's an opportunity to say to your sister, okay, I hear, sometimes it's just a matter of saying, this is what we do as doctor therapists all the time. If you guys pay good attention, we're not really giving you any answers. We're going, I understand. You're validating the feeling, leaving enough room for that. And then you can get to, oftentimes when a person feels heard, then you can get to, saying, well, did you, maybe think about it this way. So there's a lot to that answer, but number one yes, you're right, because boundaries are healing, and for everyone, the person and yourself. And again, it goes to how we listen without getting over involved, and how we support without kind of being drawn into anything that suggests you agree with that, or that's how you would handle things.
Well, you know, I would go back to Alice Walker. Excuse me, go back to Alice Walker, where she talks about girlish and womanish, where she says, womanish, you're able to think independently of other men and other women. And so you're sitting at the table and someone is acting out. You are at the mature place where you can think independently, different from that person. And I'd say, you know, you rise to the occasion. In other words, I would go higher, not sink to where the person is, because that's the easiest thing it is. The easiest thing is to ramp up to their emotional and energy level to try to counteract what is happening at the table. The other side of that is when we're in mixed company, and I'm just talking about men and women, I'm talking about mixed ethnic companies, and you are all working in that mixed ethnic, you know, company together. Other ethnic groups put you in a position where you need to go talk to them. You go talk to them. We're not going to go talk to them, but y'all go talk to them, find out what the problem is, and then you're now charged with the task to come back and explain them to them. They'll put you in that position to do that because y'all supposed to be, you know, y'all the same color, y'all the same, we're all the same people, and we're not. And we're not. And we're absolutely not. It's the same vein that when Eve ate the apple, all women got blamed for Eve ate the apple. Adam got the instructions, okay? But Eve ate the apple. They blame all women. They ain't blaming all men, okay? And so I think it's an issue that you're going to have to wrestle with because truly, if someone goes off at the table, you're going to turn to look and say, is this going to be a part of my responsibility to help settle the table down until appropriate dialogue? It depends upon your position. Are you the person in charge? Are you a part of the team? What amount of responsibility do you have at the table? And how much power do you exercise on whether you decide to take on that or just say, that's them, this is me, I'm going home.
Bishop, but I'm going to put it out there because I want to hear what you all have to say about it as well. And I think it would be helpful to this group. The other thing is when a Black woman is in charge, sometimes we experience microaggressions from other Black women who don't respect that position of being in charge, right?
Right.
And I wonder how we can help one another with that, to support and not be the one that always challenges the sister that's in charge, whether that's in church or whether that's in corporate America. How do we support one another? Even if that's your friend outside of the office, even if it's someone you know outside of the office, in that position, there should be an amount of respect for the position.
Yes. Depends on how real you want to get tonight. How real do you want to get? Okay. How real? If this is our safe space to have real conversation. I remember coming along in ministry, preaching, not pastoring yet. All of the discussion about whether congregations will receive women or not. You know, the belief that a woman can't preach 52 sermons a year, carry the pastoral load, and still, you know, be a part of a family. All that they're not physically able, da 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 da. But the one that you heard the most was, Reverend, it's not us men, it's the women who don't want you. Now, how real you want to go? It's the women. It's not the men, it's the women. And you go like, seriously? Wait a minute now, we in the missionaries together. What happened? What happened? Wait a minute now, we were missionaries, we were a lay organization together. We were in the YPD, we grew up through Sunday school. What happened? What happened? And the truth is, it does happen in business. If there are two Black women and you're the only two Black women, it'll either y'all will be working together or one will be trying to get the other one out.
That's real, Bishop. That's real.
That's real. That's what I say. Well, how real y'all want to go tonight? So that is real. And sometimes the hardest people to love in a congregation are the women that fight you every day. Now, that's not every woman. Now, for the sisters on the line, now, nope. It's not every woman. There's always just one somewhere. There's one or two somewhere. But that is it's like a cancer, and it can spread. Just like joy is contagious, it can spread. All those other things can spread. Now, the doctor may be able to help us with that, but sometimes when you step outside of the perceived position that others have made up their mind that you are to occupy, it becomes like, well, who gave you permission to do that? And who do you think you are? You're changing the dynamics here. You're upsetting the apple cart. And we don't like that because we didn't give you permission. You didn't ask us permission.
Yes.
So since you didn't ask us permission, sometimes in that relational dynamic, they will challenge you in ways that would never challenge a man. They would never. Some things they will say to you, they would never have said to a male pastor. They would have never said to a male CEO. They would have never said to a male presiding elder, district superintendent. They would never do that. But
absolutely,
they put you in a position to have to explain yourself. Why'd you make that decision? The decision is made. Why did you explain yourself? What led up to the decision? Give us some more information. Let's have some more research. And on and on and on. So when you say, how can we help each other with that? Is learning how to respect each other. It's not a matter of gender. It's a matter of gifts and skills. Gifts and skills. See, if I look at you as, what's this woman coming in here? What's she gonna do? What's she gonna do? What's she gonna do now? Y'all know how that works, right? What's she gonna do? You don't say that when brother walks in the door, what he gonna do? What he gonna do? No, it's what she gonna do. So we can help each other out by at least being still long enough to see what gifts and skills God has given whatever leader when they walk in the room, whether it's a teacher at the head of the class, whether you are in a CEO, middle management, vice president, wherever you are. Be still long enough to see if they got the gifts and skills that's going to help you. It's going to help you.
Amen, Bishop.
We sink down to the worker level. The worker level is where I'm just getting a paycheck. I'm working 9 to 5, getting my paycheck and go home. I don't want no upset. No, I want no difference. Don't y'all change nothing. Everything's been working fine until you showed up. Now you want to change things. You want to do something different. Wait. But when you elevate yourself from the worker to the professional cares not only about their paycheck and their job, but they also care about the health of the institution.
That gets to what some of the sisters are saying, Bishop, is a two-way street. And sometimes the woman in leadership starts to treat the other Black woman or other Black women poorly. And that absolutely happens too, and it's just as wrong. So that's what you were getting at the end when you were saying that a true leader will take care of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a competition between sisters in a room.
Woo! There's enough light to shine. There's enough light to shine, enough sunlight for everybody to have some sunshine in their lives to shine. Woo! We're gonna have to bring it to a close, but this is getting good, y'all. See, it took us an hour to get real, right? It took us a whole hour before we finally wade through to get to the real part. Yes, Dr. Colleen.
Bishop, to your point, we have no more room to be fighting each other, doing the crab in the barrel thing. We have to have these discussions that are very real. Like when you said, y'all really want to go there? And all the ladies are like, yes, like, please, we've got to go there. We have to go there. We have to do this, right? And so one of the things is we've got to stay focused. We've got to stay focused. We're so preoccupied oftentimes with this reality TV that I call unreality TV. We've got enough to deal with. We've got to stay focused on that. And part of the way is keeping it just like this, fun, engaging, but very real. And so we have to call it out on another level now. I think we have the opportunity. There's a window. We've got to call it out, and we don't have to do it alone. Just like Bishop has done, you put, Reverend Blackmon understands that part and how to kind of say the spiritual part, and then the doctor to come in. As you're saying, Bishop, and you were one of the first people I saw to really start doing this, even within the church, to be more inclusive in these conversations. There are people with different giftings, different backgrounds and education. So we have to bring one another together so we can have these dialogues that are very real and constructive, right? In a loving and healing way. And so we've got to do this. And I think call upon everyone, right? We can create movies and talk shows and so forth that we're being educated, we're helping each other, we're healing, and it still be very engaging, and sassy or whatever we want to call it. This is a prime example. We can't stop these discussions if we don't talk about it. We've never done it. We've never had kind of the opening to do it. And so medically, psychologically, spiritually, if you don't expose and open and have the discussion, you cannot really affect that level of change, more quickly, more powerfully. We have to keep doing this and having these very real discussions with folks that know how to help us to modulate the discussions.
Woo! On that, we're going to say, wow, this has been a powerful conversation. We went a little long tonight because the conversation was good, because we were getting real. We were getting down. Before I let you go, I thank you so much. On the screen, you will see an opportunity for you to plant seeds into this ministry. We want to bless our guests, and we want to bless our tech crew and all this equipment that they get and do to make us look good. We don't really look like this. When they turn the lights off, you're gonna say, oh my God, good camouflage and body armor will work every day. Hallelujah. And now that we know Atia is going to help us look good for the rest of our lives. Amen. 80 is the new 50. Come on, y'all. Let's run with that. Amen. And so please sow seeds into the ministry. We want to be a blessing. We want to continue to be a blessing, to be able to come back to Selah again and again virtually until we have an opportunity to come back and see each other face to face. Please remind those of you who are in your audience that this will be replayed. And so for those who missed it the first time, just tell your friend, girl, you need to be in on this conversation. You need to hear this. Please do that. We will be back with Selah on July the 27th, and we will have another hot topic to discuss. Our guest is going to be Janai Walker-Macklin. She's a former WNBA player. She's got a story to tell, and she's now Morgan Stanley financial advisor. She's going to get us hooked up to make sure our money is straight. And then the inimitable, the Reverend Dr. Claudette Copeland, founder and CEO of Women's Educational and Healing Retreats of New Creation Christian Fellowship. Both of these ladies are going to be in the house. It's going to be an explosive, powerful conversation. So mark it on your calendar, Monday, July the 27th at 2020. Please sow seeds into the ministry. Go buy the Selah boutique because you're going to need your t-shirt. Yes, you will. You're going to need your shirt for our house party in August. Join the Selah online group. If you're a woman who loves yourself and you love to be with other women and love to help and resource other women and love to learn. Didn't we learn a lot tonight? Discussion was great. So come back and join us again. Be a part of the group. Thank you, Rev Blackmon. Come on, y'all, give hearts and hands to Rev Tracy Blackmon. Thank you, Dr. Colleen Hawthorne. Come on, let's get some hearts and hands for Dr. Colleen Hawthorne. Come on, give the home team you can't see them, but they're back there. They're pushing buttons. Y'all give the home team a hand. Thank you guys for making it all work well. My sisters and my brothers, those of you who are listening, yes, we have a lot to be mad about. And there's a way we can express ourselves in conversation, in activities, to be able to help people understand how we feel and where we are. Be careful, my sisters and brothers, of you holding this anger in until it becomes a depression. Anxiety is high. Our resources are low. And when you're in a tired position, you always are not making the right decisions for yourself and for others. So here's what I want you to do. All right. Are y'all ready? Are y'all ready? Come on. Are you? I mean, I need to hear you. I need to see you in the, I need to see the hearts. I need to see the yes. Yes, I'm ready. Come on. Answer me. Come on. Are you ready? I need to see hearts. I need to see. Are you ready? Are you really ready? Come on. Let me know. Are you really ready? Because what I'm going to tell you, this is what I'm listening. Listen. Are you ready? Tonight, I want you to go to bed and sleep. You have my permission to go to bed and sleep early. Can you do that? Can you do that? Come on, let me see you. The yes. Are you going to do that? Sometimes we need permission to go to bed. Sometimes we need people to tell us to go to bed, go to sleep, get some rest. Sleep as long as you can. If you don't have to get up at 6, get up at 8. All right, get some rest. Some people need a break from us. So you have my permission to go to sleep tonight. Are y'all saying yes? I'm looking for them yeses. I'm looking for them yeses. Go to sleep. Really get some rest. Take good care of yourself because we need your gifts in the kingdom. We need you. We need you. We need you. Have a sweet night in the Lord, Selah ladies. We'll see you on the 27th. God bless.